another reason why Beethoven was so influential. That's a really good point because, of course, Beethoven, coming out of the classical tradition, wrote mostly absolute music, music for its own sake, symphonies, sonatas, concertos, etc. If you listen to Symphony Number 5, you hear, of course, the famous motif, bum, 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 and then he develops that and does all sorts of stuff with it, uses it as the basis for his entire structure of Symphony Number 5, but everything is very much musical in nature and does not have any imagery that corresponds to the real world, you might call it, the non-musical world. I should point out that some people say the motif bum 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 represents fate knocking at the door, but I'm not sure that really goes back to Beethoven. Let's just put that to the side and just say Symphony Number 5 is a good example of absolute music. But then you go to Beethoven's Symphony Number 6, called the Pastoral Symphony, and he writes a description for every movement, a program, a story, or something that conceptually does align with the larger non-musical world. For instance, movement number 1, I'm paraphrasing here, is labeled in his own hand feelings of thanksgiving and happiness upon arriving in the countryside. Movement 2 is a scene by a brook. Movement number 3 is the cheerful peasant's dance. I forget exactly how it's written. Movement number 4 is, of course, the famous thunderstorm, where you hear musical representation of rain and thunder, so very clearly a story or a program to it. And then movement number 5 is the shepherd song, the feelings of thanksgiving after the storm. And the symphony, so influential, absolutely. I think it laid the groundwork for a lot of the programmatic music of the 19th century. When you think of symphonies like Symphonie Fantastique, but for me, my two favorite Beethoven symphonies are number 5 and number 6, and I love to listen to them, how they contrast and yet have so much in common, both in their musical architecture and also how one, again, is absolute music, music for its own sake, and one does correspond to concepts and stories in the non-musical world.